Hey guys, what's up? MiataMods here. In this video I'm going to show you how you can replace your differential fluid. So, stay tuned. So today I'm going to do some much needed maintenance on the car. To do this job you need the right fluid. And one of the biggest discussions is which fluid is best for your Miata. There are so many conflicting answers, so I encourage you to do your own research and draw your own conclusion which differential fluid is best for your Miata. I'm going to use this 75W90 full synthetic fluid, which is suitable for both my transmission and differential. Before you start, make sure that you warm up the differential first. This makes draining the fluid a lot easier, but be careful, with hot fluids you can burn yourself. It's about a 30-minute drive from my house to my garage, so the diff fluid should be pretty warm. Jack up the car and make sure it's level, because you don't want to risk overfilling your diff with fluid. So this is the differential, this is the drain plug, and this is the fill plug. Now this is very important. Always make sure you remove the fill plug before you remove the drain plug. Not only does the airflow help with draining the fluid, but more importantly, you don't want to have a dry differential and a fill plug that won't move. Spray on some penetrating oil first and let it sit for a few minutes. Get a 23mm socket and a socket wrench or a breaker bar and remove the fill plug. There's dripping fluid out of the fill hole, and that's a good sign. That means that the diff has enough fluid in it. If you're curious if the last fluid change was done properly, you can use your dipstick to check the fluid level. This is your dipstick, and if your finger has some fluid on it, that's a good sign. Now that the fill plug is removed, we can remove the drain plug. You need a 24mm socket and a socket wrench or a breaker bar, and then you can loosen the drain plug. The fluid can still be pretty warm, so be careful. I'm wearing gloves and I'm going to do this with my hands because I've done this a few times already. But if you want to be on the safe side, use something to unscrew the plug, like a socket and an extension, and then let it fall down into the drain pan. If you're doing this with your hands, keep some pressure on the bolt while unscrewing it. Leave it for a while to drain. And yeah, all diff fluid stinks, so be ready for that smell. This is an open diff, by the way, but the process is the same for a limited slip or a torsion diff. Make sure you check the tip of the drain plug because it has a magnetic core. It should contain very fine metal, not chunks or giant bits of metal. Metal shavings is normal, anything bigger is expensive. I only see small metal shavings, so we're good. I'm going to clean the plug and the diff. There we go, nice and clean. The drain plug needs a washer to seal properly, and a lot of times there isn't even a washer installed. So I got a new set of washers here, and I figured let's swap the old one for a new one. But unfortunately I don't have the correct size. So I'm just going to reuse the old one. The old one looks pretty decent, but I would always recommend replacing it. For your reference, it has a outer diameter of 24mm and a inner diameter of, sorry, this is easier, 18mm. And that's the same for the transmission. Make sure you give the surrounding surface a good clean. The plug doesn't need anti-seize because it's always soaked in fluid, so we can just reinstall the plug. Always start with screwing it in by hand so you prevent cross-threading. I have a torque wrench, so I'm going to use that, and you want to set it to 35 foot-pounds or 47 Newton meters. If you don't have a torque wrench, just tighten the plug until it's snug, but don't over tighten it. The drain plug is reinstalled, so now we can fill up the diff with some new fluid. You can't just pour the fluid in, so you're going to need a pump. I got this cheap hand pump for a couple of bucks, and I'm going to use this to get the fluid inside the diff. Check if the pump is working correctly. And there it goes. So the pump is working correctly. Check if the line is properly inserted into the fill hole, and make sure you got something on the floor because you're going to make a mess. I'm using my drain pan, but if you're going to do this job on the driveway, just use some cardboard. Alright, let's start pumping. Now the diff will need roughly 1 quart or 1 liter of fluid, so you're going to need 1 bottle. I always order an extra bottle, so if you run into any problems, you'll have enough fluid to finish the job. And I would suggest you do the same. If you see fluid leaking out of the fill hole, you can stop pumping, because that means that the diff has the right amount of fluid in it. Clean the fill plug and the diff itself, and then start twisting it in by hand. Then get your torque wrench and set it to 35 foot-pounds or 47 Newton meters. Again, if you don't have a torque wrench, just tighten the plug until it's snug, but don't over tighten it. Get some degreaser or brake cleaner, some paper towels, and remove any fluid and dirt that is left on the diff. I'm going to put the old fluid inside this old jug. I removed the label so I know that this jug is for old fluids. That went awesome. Oh my god, okay. Nice job, dumbass. There we go. And that's it, guys. Job's done. Now I would suggest doing this job after every 30,000 miles or 50,000 kilometers. If you drive your car hard on a regular basis, I would suggest doing this job every 15,000 miles or 30,000 kilometers. Alright, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video and I'll catch you in the next one. Tot de volgende keer. The fluid. How we can play. Bruh. Goddamn motorcycles. How'd your back be on the safe? Fuck you prevent cross for that. God damn it.